So this has actually gotten a better response than I expected, which is really kind of surprising. I'm gonna do this while I talk. This, like I said, it's gotten a fairly decent number of views compared to some of my other stuff, but it's got more retention time, which is kind of surprising. Probably because I know exactly what I'm talking about. There are a few things I didn't bother explaining in the past couple videos, like secret doors, disarming traps, picking locks. I'm assuming everyone watching this is smart enough to understand that stuff, or at least be able to figure it out. Besides, I'm playing a paladin, I can't do half that stuff, unless I'm lucky. Or I'm in an early quest, because my search is basically negligible. Which is part of the reason why I wanted to play an artificer in the first place, because they can do all that stuff. They're ranged mages using a repeating crossbow. They search, they disarm traps, they find secret doors, they pick locks. They're basically half rogue. They're rogues with a sneak attack, but with spells. And fairly high damage. When they first came around, they were probably one of the most overpowered classes there was. And I've mostly been playing on my normal server, which is Kyber. This is... I don't remember which server this is. It's one of the short ones. I think it starts... There's a G in it, I think. It's not really that important. But most of the simple stuff is simple. I'm not going to explain it. Some of the stuff that isn't immediately obvious I'll explain it when it comes up. There's a few things I anticipate explaining in this, but again, I'm not going to actually say it until it comes up. I have action points I need to spend, so after I pick up these two quests that I need to do, I'm going to go do that. That actually reminds me of something I was doing on Kyber. I've also got another paladin who just hit level 9, maybe a couple hours ago. There's one quest... Actually, first I gotta check my feats. I think I picked it. Yeah. Okay. What this feat implies is that I'm a follower of the Sovereign Host, which is actually apparently an elven religion, but doesn't really matter. What does matter is that at level 4, actually now, let's see, it's around here somewhere. No, it doesn't look like I have access to it yet. There's a quest. Must be level 5. I could have sworn that was level 4. That, I just remember the name of it. No, I don't have it yet. I'll probably be able to show it later. It's called Purge the Heretics. You are tasked by an agent of the Silver Flame to go purge followers of the Sovereign Host, who amount to homeless elves, humans, dwarves, maybe halflings, a bunch of mercenaries, and 2 people with names that would have sounded like they were, you know, paladins, essentially. Not the class definition, but the idealistic definition of the term. They're good people, they're trying to help those lesser than them, you know, the whole lawful good stuff. Your job is to go murder them all. As a paladin, and as a servant of the Sovereign Host, I can still do that. I can go execute violently. Obviously, it's an execution, so it's going to be violent. Members of my own religion for loot and to experience. There's absolutely nothing stopping me from doing it in-game. And this is one of the biggest problems I have with this game. The storyline does not change based on your class or your race. It changes on what you want to do. Which is understandable. It is an MMO, you don't know what class is going to come up, and that's a lot of writing. And from what I understand, the Turbine has been basically running on a skeleton crew since probably around mid-2014, so the fact that they're updating it all is kind of amazing. But I mean, that should have been in the game from the start. It's like, you're going to put in a quest where you go murder a bunch of religious people who are starving and basically the dregs of society, essentially. And it's completely irrespective of who you are. That's an evil act. You can't be an evil character in this game. The alignments don't exist. You can be good, or you can be neutral. No evil. Yet that quest is an evil act. Obviously, you're walking in there with the intent to murder probably about 100 people. Well, you're only there to actually kill maybe 20, but you end up killing a bunch of mercenaries as well. But it's just depressing, because it's like, okay, if I'm a chaotic neutral fighter, which actually isn't all that bad of an alignment considering how the gear works in this game, I can kind of understand it. I'm a lawful fucking good paladin. There's no reason I should be able to do that. I shouldn't even have the quest. I shouldn't be able to take it. But I can just go right ahead and go murder a bunch of people for absolutely no reason. People of my own religion. Some people might say, well, Christianity's done that. Yeah, but Christianity's got millions of followers. It's basically been one of the major world religions for a while. Sects will pop up. It's inevitable. But I mean, in Stormreach, there's the amount of people in there is probably not even 10,000. At most, it's maybe 6,000. Based on that reaction, I'd say probably 4,200 of them are followers of the Silver Flame, or at least pay lip service. There's some the Cultists of Vol, which probably 200-300. So, let's see, and then they added House Cannith, which basically most of the Warforged are going to be followers of the Lord of Blades. Minus a few who would find their spiritual needs met with Silver Flame or the Sovereign Host. So, rough estimate, about 1,000 people in Stormreach are going to be followers of the Sovereign Host. Especially the houses, House Velaryon, House Jarasco. Daenerys a bit too warlike for that, and Kundrak's dwarves, so Cannith is mostly, they're basically the Dwemer and the Warforged. They're not dwarves, but they're elves, but they're tech elves, basically. Actually, I haven't spent too much time there, so I might be wrong on that. If anyone actually knows, feel free to correct me in the comments, because we need to actually have some comments. But I've been talking too much about that, so it's time to actually get back to killing people who actually deserve to die in some way. Alright, so the first quest I actually was able to take involved stopping necromantic Sahuagin. This quest is stopping more Sahuagin from finding a key to get a scroll that does something I honestly don't remember what the scroll does. It's just some secret info, nothing really major. But well, let's get Alright, I'll be getting another AP after this. So let's get to the slaughter of vermin. And a dead rat. Since it will pop up between the last 2 episodes and this episode, or episodes, there's been a recent update that didn't do what I hoped it would, because there are a lot of bugs need to be fixed. But the first thing that's going to be noticed, probably the only thing that's going to be noticed, is that the loot names have been changed. Let's see, do I actually have anything? No. No, I don't have anything from that. But, well... Is it? Keep in mind, it's going to be several levels where I can actually use that. Level 6 at the minimum. Not because I can't use them until then, I can use them now. I just won't have the SP to actually bother with it. But there's going to be a chest fairly soon. And that's going to have a piece of loot that will show what I mean by the loot being differently named. Alright. These quests are all fairly small. I mean, it is the beginning of the game. You don't want to have people doing hour-long quests right off the bat. I mean, I'm going to be doing one of those before I finish up with Korthos, but at least it's not every quest. Hey, it's Swaggin. Alright, this is just what I was talking about, and... yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. It actually says in the name, this is what the property is at. Like, the Reconstructed 36, it adds 36 equipment bonus to repair and rust spell power, which is completely useless for me since I'm human. If I was Warforged, that would be important, because that's how you heal. That also affects rust spells, I think there's only one, and I'm not arcane caster, so that's relevant. And then it also adds the Intimidate 2 is Intimidate, get a +2 bonus to Intimidate. It's better. Before they changed the loot system, say for strength bonus, it would usually say Ogre Power +3, Gloves of whatever. It told you where it was. Until this latest patch, to the last update, it didn't. Which was kind of annoying, but also led us some interesting surprises. And something came to mind that I really hope does not happen in these videos, but I'm pretty sure it will. That involves the new loot. Suffice to say that if you want to actually hear me get really pissed off, no, that's going to be the interesting part. I'm actually mostly trying to remember how this puzzle goes. It's not that difficult of a puzzle, it's mostly I'm doing it while holding Z. Which is really making my hand uncomfortable. Alright, I got it.
Dissipates. All that remains now is to take and deliver the scroll.
On the off chance someone watching this actually watches the Spoony experiment, which is likely, these are what he referred to in the Final Fantasy XIV video as the pitchfork quests. The miscellaneous bullshit you do at the beginning because you're not powerful enough to do anything actually good. And take note, I've stopped Necromantic Sahuagin. I found a scroll with highly detailed knowledge that the villagers don't want to fall into the enemy hands, and the next one I'm going to be saving a crystal that basically keeps the village alive. That's the only reason why it's just snowing here and not a frozen wasteland. I actually need the Agile Belt. I only grabbed the Rugged because I need the HP more than the saves, but I actually have a really low reflex save for right now. Having a 10 dexterity will do that. Why do I even have a reflex save? Okay, good question. Probably from the class, because the thing is, like, it increases my shield bonus by 2, but I don't lose anything by doing that, so might as well just equip it. I'm gonna immediately trade it for something actually more useful. Now this is the way I usually build my characters, at least for this paladin. And it'll lead to one of the problems I have with the class that used to be part of it, but they seem to have taken out. You see, the Knight of the Chalice is basically the undead hunter. Evil hunter in general, but some of the abilities are specialized for undead. Like this one, which when you use Turn Undead, which you get at level 4, you deal 66 damage per rank. Now that's actually pretty decent. I mean, that's 6 to 36 damage, plus times whatever bonuses you have. That's not that, when you consider most of the enemies around the times that you're really fighting a lot of undead that aren't necessarily destroyed by Turn Undead, especially if you do it right. When you get the right loot, which is mostly stuff you make yourself. You're not going to be needing the damage because they're going to either be stunned or they're just not going to be affected. Again, I'm a paladin, I'm not a cleric. This isn't one of my core features. I mean, it is, but it's not something that the class really puts emphasis on. If I was a cleric, I'd be less combat savvy, but I'd have more healing abilities. I don't think I've got Lay on Hands yet, which is basically my main healing ability. Let's see. I'd have better healing, but I'd be better at turning it undead. Be better at turning undead. But there are problems with that. One, you lose combat ability. Paladins are basically meant to be in the thick of things. Lay on Hands lets them heal themselves for a fairly high amount very early. I'd say around the same time. Like I said, my paladin was level 8 until just recently. After the rare modifier I had, which sometimes were enhancements, I think there was one that was actually part of the equipment. If I threw a Lay on Hands, which I could use 5 times per rest, which is quite a bit, I heal myself for a little, I think it was 81 points of damage. By the time I'd taken enough damage to actually do that, I was usually about halfway finished the quest. So it was literally halfway through a quest. Lay on hands, back up to basically full HP, I can go ahead and finish. It's but this is also sort of the healing tree. Because, I mean, one of the abilities I get later, like level 7 or 8, is remove disease. Paladins eventually become immune to disease entirely. I mean, not basically like the proof against disease. It used to make you completely immune, but now it's just a bonus to. You're immune to natural poisons, but you get a bonus to saves for supernatural and magical diseases. In this case, I know I said poisons, but since Paladin is completely immune to it, the remove disease is mostly used on other people who aren't immune. But this is the interesting thing. Okay, you start out with 1. You get all 3 of these, you got 7. I think there's some way to get more. Pretty sure I still have 7. Now you combine that with this enhancement. You put 3 ranks in this. Not only are you removing disease, you're putting a greater restoration. That's... I don't know what level spell that is, but that's... 5th or 6th level, I think. And you gotta be 9th or 11th level to cast that as a cleric. So, if someone's diseased, and they've lost, say, 5 stat damage and, say, dexterity, remove disease isn't just gonna do that. I have this maxed. I click on them. Use this. They're back up to full, which is nice. It's also a good way to use restoration on yourself without actually spending the SP for it. Which that's actually like the first useful spell Paladins get at level 4. But yeah, like I said, it's an evil fight. It's a heavy combat tree. It's mostly the fight on evil in general, but there are some undead specialties which are still kind of useful. There's some active abilities like this one. Insight bonus to strength equal to your charisma modifier, which means I get +2 strength as an insight bonus. Not really all that useful. I mean, it's another point, but another point in the modifier. But this basically is a remove fear spell, and then boost them for a minute, which is pretty decent. It's not a bard ability, but this is basically cleave, but without needing to take a feat, which is actually fairly useful because. This is actually kind of interesting. As +1 a critical damage modifier. That means if you're using a ×2 weapon, it's now ×3. If you're using a ×3, you're now ×4. If you're using a ×4, you're lying. There's no ×4 weapons in this game, at least not base. Because someone made a decision, hey, let's not put size in the size. You know what I mean. I have a difficult time pronouncing that word. I don't know why. This is actually kind of useful. I think I got this earlier. Increases melee power by 5. Do I even have melee power? I have 2. If I remember right, that's basically a flat damage bonus. Like, you have 5 melee power, you get +5 damage per attack. It's kind of useful. This is one of the one I'm really looking forward to. Just straight up immune to energy drain. Don't think I need to actually look up what energy drain is. I mean, if I remember right, I think it's like abilities that say damage ability scores, but I'll look that up later. Actually, write that down. But yeah, the other two are mostly defensive. I mean, this one's actually fairly useful. I need to do that. See, that's the thing. The biggest cost in this game is repairing your stuff, especially if you die. If you have items that aren't bound to you, like, this sword I don't give a crap about. This is bound to my character. I can't give it to anyone else. I think I would. It's basically free. It will, if it gets damaged, it will never take permanent damage. Which, okay, it's got a durability of 80 out of 80. Permanent damage would take it to 79 out of 80. Because it's bound to me, it can't. The shield, on the other hand, is not. This can take permanent damage unless I bind it, which involves a lot of crap I'm probably not going to be doing, because binding an item to yourself just to avoid durability loss is stupid. There are other things you can change on it, like you can add a few abilities to it, but that's the only reason to actually do that. And considering all the crafting options that are in this game now, it's not really all that useful anymore. I haven't really seen anyone do it for a while. But, yeah. It's not really a problem unless you're really shit at the game. I mean, sometimes you just get bad RNG, or you go like through 3 quests without repairing, and then it's basically inevitable, but yeah. And then this tree is kind of annoying, because yeah, the store opened, I closed it. Again, I don't want anyone to see my account name. Security reasons, in case anyone's wondering, but the Harper Agent tree is something that was added recently, I think. It's Forgotten Realms based. On this account, I'm doubly screwed. I'm not going to be able to get... You can unlock it by hitting a certain favor with the Harpers, which is sort of annoying because, first of all, they're an endgame faction. Most of their stuff is level 20 or higher. In fact, I think all of it is. It's also an adventure pack. You need to buy it, or you need to be VIP, which I can't currently afford. So, in order to unlock it, I need to be around at level 20 or higher. You need to have the adventure pack or packs that actually give you a favor with them, or someone's kind enough to use a guest pass on me so I can actually do it temporarily without actually owning the pack. Then I can actually grind the quest to get enough favor to get that unlocked. And I have not explained favor, I will explain that later. Because if I'm correct, once I hit Stormreach, which is the hub city, I'm going to be able to show you what I mean by favor. I can show you now, but one of the best things about this game, and basically the only reason I kept playing it for so long, is going to be explained then. And it's entirely the reason I started a new account in order to do this, because I could not do that on my main account, otherwise I would have, because it would have given me a lot more requests to go through, a lot more stuff to explain, and a lot more stuff to rage at, because there are a bunch of annoying quests. But I'm actually going to take a break for a minute. Not because I don't want to keep playing, I do. I just have real life things to take care of. So, should be a transition. You know, one of those fade to black. If I can manage to get Windows Movie Maker to do that. So, I'll be back basically immediately for anyone watching this. I'm gonna go do a couple things.